Welcome to the Piece by Piece Autism Podcast with your hosts, Angie and Christy. They've worked 25 years to help Alec get the most out of life. Let them tell you how they're doing it.
We're coming at you today talking about proactive measures. We are proactive measures, and we're going to tell you all about what that means. But first of all, I'm going to say that some people try to arrange the world in a certain way so that their autistic child does not have any challenges, or so they won't have a tantrum, or so this or that happens the way that you want it to happen. But we think that if you put things into place that will set your child up for success, you'll have learning, you'll have tolerance built up, and you will just have an overall better result. Do you agree, Angie?
Yeah. I mean, we want strength in these weak areas that we know these individuals can really rise to the occasion and meet our bar and our expectations if we give them a bit of support. And I think by being proactive and using a lot of proactive measures in their day-to-day, whether that be in time management or expectations or a lot of these other examples we'll get into, we can see them succeed.
Yeah, definitely. And we've seen a lot of it with Alec. So, I mean,
absolutely.
Okay, he started ABA at 2.5. Mm-hmm. He's 27 now. And this is just, I would say, the backbone in many instances of how he has learned and built tolerance.
Yeah, absolutely. So the first one I'm going to touch on is Alec's backpack, which if you've not listened to our backpack episode, go back and listen to that because we really dive deep into what that is. But it is one of our favorite proactive measures. It's something that is loaded and ready to go at all times. And it has everything from activities, reinforcers, snacks, and extra clothes, wipes, bags, all the things in the event of an accident. Alec will have his backpack medication. He's epileptic, so we always have to have his medication on hand. But these things are a quick grab and go, loaded.
Yeah.
And it just sets us up for success when we leave the house.
Right.
So that's one example of a proactive measure that is just an easy one to set up and have ready to go at all times.
Another one we have is social stories.
Yes.
And I think our life really changed when we started doing social stories. At first, I thought it would not have meaning for him.
Yeah.
And I was so shocked at how it really prepped him for what we were going to go and do for the day.
Yeah, I've used these with my own kiddos going to the dentist. I remember my oldest son, when he was young, really was apprehensive about the dentist visit and what are they using. He wanted to know every little detail. What are they putting in my mouth?
I'm very apprehensive about it too.
I don't love it either.
I don't like it.
But we sat down and looked at some pictures. We watched a YouTube video that kind of showed what he could expect, and it really calmed his nerves. And I think that is true for anybody who doesn't know what's coming, what's going to happen. So we've done social stories for Alec in video form. We've done them if it's a place that he would frequent, we would take pictures and create our own social stories with pictures on colored cardstock, with just handwriting on them. Nothing super fancy. You don't need to get fancy with it, but just to give a bit of expectations and understanding to what is the sequence of this event? What can I expect to see? What's going to happen? We can go through it. We can talk about it. He can see it before actually experiencing and doing it. So,
yeah. And where I have gone through some boxes recently of things that I've had starting from when he was 2.
Mm-hmm.
And we had these cute little books that we made with those old-fashioned metal rings where we had just a piece of, well, a picture
Yeah.
or a drawing or whatever it was, sometimes with text, sometimes without. And it would just be the sequence of the very simplest things that he might do. Like when he first started riding a horse, where he was on the horse himself. And we would have first you go drive to the, and then we would put on the helmet, and then we would greet the horse and the instructor, on and
Yes.
on. And it just, we would go over that with him. And then it would just mentally prepare him for that.
Yeah. Social stories are so great. They inform, they give a bit of context into what you're doing. I think that's great. And along those lines, just we've kind of evolved. Alec has evolved as he's become an adult, and more, we don't need a social story with pictures and all of that, but we do like to talk through what's happening. Hey, dude,
Right.
here's the plan for today. We lay out the plan, tell him where we're going, tell him who of his teammates he's going to be seeing, and we get his buy-in and allow a conversation to happen so that we can get feedback and know that this is a-okay, that this is something Alec would like to do, or if there's any hiccups that he sees or problems, we have a discussion there. So just kind of getting on the same page. I want that for myself every day. I reference my calendar.
Oh, yeah.
And
Absolutely.
have to, when I wake up, go, okay, what have I got going on today? What's the sequence of events? So it's only fair.
And
that
if I don't want to do something,
that.
sometimes I don't look at my calendar. Just don't look
Avoidance,
at
maybe?
it. And maybe avoidance. I think I might have a problem with that.
That's okay. That's okay.
So, another thing we do is we have a place for most everything in his house, I would say, and everything has to be in its place. And one of the examples that I really like is that we have his shoes all in one cabinet.
Mm-hmm.
We have his backpack on the same hook every day. The bathroom is situated in his little mudroom right by the back door. So, and he's got a little basket full of clean socks, and he's got a basket full of dirty socks. And so everything that he needs is right there in that mudroom area. And his deficit, as we've talked about before on previous podcasts, his deficit is receptive discrimination. So meaning I can't say, go get your shoes, and they're just in some random place and he finds them. That he does not have the ability, as much work as we've done on that, he does not have that ability to do that. And so setting that up to be in one fluid motion, almost like, oh, I come in here and I can say, if he's in context, Alec, grab your shoes, grab your backpack, we're going to go. He'll see the bathroom there. We're setting all that up so it's predictable,
Mm-hmm.
and it just makes life easier, and it deals with his deficit, which is the receptive discrimination, in a nice way, so that he is successful every time we're going to leave. It's in a very predictable, but it's also in a learning atmosphere.
Yeah.
Of, we can say, grab your shoes. And by the proximity that we're standing and the fact that his shoes are in a predictable place, it builds
he's
that
successful.
skill.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Love that. Another big part in how we have helped Alec grow is to know his levels of tolerance. And sometimes this is required doing what we call probing, where we just have to take him maybe past his limits to know then for the next time we're going to stop on our terms prior to his limits being pushed, right? So an example of this is church attendance. Church attendance has been maybe too long of a 2-hour expectation. That's too much. That's too much for some adults. So we are not going to require Alec to sit quietly without movement and stimulation and engagement for 2 hours. That's just past any expectations that we set for him. We can, however, expect him to sit for 5 or 10 minutes, and we can build on that. So we've known as we've worked through this for years that maybe his limits are 30 minutes. So when we would go to church, we would say, hey, it's been 10 minutes. Great job. We're going to celebrate the success. You did awesome. We're out of here. And we're gone. And while it is maybe less than where a fit would have been thrown when we probed this duration of time, that's okay, because next time we're going to go for 12 minutes and then we're going to be out and we're going to celebrate that as success. And we've been able to build that. And now Alec can sit in church for the full hour. No problem. No problems.
Right.
And so there's other examples of this, but just knowing and building time limits to give success for situations where tolerance may be low. Another example Christy has shared is just being around little kids. Alec has expressed a disinterest in, kids being around or being too loud or being into his space. And so saying, hey, we can respect that, but also you need to kind of tolerate and deal with this to some extent. So when we come over, we're going to be here for 30 minutes and then we'll head out. So we always like to give that to him up front and set those expectations and go from there.
Right. The other thing we do is we love counting.
Yes, we use counting a lot.
Counting has been such a beneficial skill. Would you call it a skill? It's a tool.
A tool,
we use.
yeah.
A tool that we use. And it has just transformed life with Alec, because almost anything we need him to do, because he's had this counting conditioned, we can get through it. And he just relies on it. He's very happy to do things because he knows when it ends.
Yeah.
So he can't stand to have, well, now he can, but he used to not be able to tolerate having his head touched. He couldn't even tolerate having it touched when he was about 2 years old. And of course he would still get a haircut, but we would have to kind of lasso him down. Not literally, don't come after me. But we had to just, kind of get through the haircut, however we could get through it. And his hair became quite long because I did not want that punishment of going through that.
Yeah.
But then once we conditioned up the counting, then he could sit through and we could, for every count, the hair salon person could take a few cuts. And so we found the hair cutter. What do you call a person who cuts hair?
Hair stylist.
A stylist. How about a stylist? That sounds good. In my mom's day, they called him a beauty operator, and I don't understand.
A beauty operator.
Anyway, they're not a beauty operator now. They're a stylist. Okay, let's say stylist. Okay. But the stylist is very important too, because if the stylist understands the importance of, we have to incrementally do this haircut, we have to plan for more time. We're going to stop after we count for a few, counts, and we're going to celebrate for a minute, assuming we have a good ending and we have something to reinforce. And then we're going to incrementally build up our counting. And I remember times whenever we would count to 50.
Yeah.
And the stylist would just be cutting, just relaxed as can be. And he's just staring at us with his eyes locked on ours, which if, autistic people don't love locking eyes with you.
I would sit across from him. I remember being at the salon with him when we were really working on this skill. I'd sit and I'd have a cape on, and he would almost lean his head into my hands, like he just wanted to be right here in my space. And we would count, and I would sometimes count slower as the stylist is looking at me, trying to get like one more cut over here.
If I could get one more cut, and I'm like, okay, I could slow this down.
But he did so great with it, and it really, really has helped him to now. I mean, he just sits down for a haircut now, and it's no big deal.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it's such a relief because there were so many things. And we tried cranial sacral massage with the OT, and we tried that for about 6 months, and we got a little bit of progress on that towards being able to touch his head and tolerate a helmet and all this stuff. But he's really come a long way on
yeah,
that. And this counting really helps it. I
yeah,
cannot stress it enough. You just gotta condition it. You just start with a very small count. Great job. 1, 2, 3. Great job. And then you pull
reinforce.
back.
Yep.
Reinforce. Reinforce. And then you say, are you ready to try again? Okay. And then when we start again, this time let's try to count to 3 again. Or let's try to count to 4. And then you just build on that. And we literally would have a haircut with 50 counts in one cutting session. And just having the stylist who's willing to do that and the person willing enough to be patient
Yeah.
and count and provide that calm, just, okay, now we're going to count.
Yeah. Counting is
Have a little bit of
great.
music in the background,
Set
it up.
Set the mood.
Yeah.
It's great.
Proactive.
Another huge one that we use with Alec daily, if not multiple times a day, is just to set our expectations. Like we were saying, with checking a calendar or knowing what's coming, we like to really let him know what we expect of him when we are asking for effort from him. So
Right.
we've got a pretty strict protocol when it comes to sitting down at the table. We're working on communication or discussing things, or that's kind of his learning environment. So we don't do a lot of STEMmy things or reinforcers at the table. But what we do,
Unless we're working with Soma. And then we do
then
about
all-
5 stems all at once, and somehow it works.
it worked.
It works.
Look, we didn't carry
I'm
that
like,
one
well, let's
over,
see, let me
but
count. How many stems is he doing in one 1 hour session? Oh, not 1 hour, sorry, like 30 minutes. Like 5 or 6.
yeah,
Yeah, we don't tolerate
too
that.
many,
We don't.
too many
we
for
don't
what we're doing
tolerate
on the
that.
daily.
No,
But-
we gotta focus.
We do have a whiteboard at the table, and most often like to really script out what our expectations are. So we're going to read about the solar system today, and I'm going to ask you 5 questions, and I'm going to sequence them. I've got 1 through 5 written on the board, and as we go through them, I'm writing down the questions or I'm writing down his response, and he can see that progress and know that once he meets what we set as the expectation, he's done. And we've done this for so many years, and he understands what that means. And when he's done, that he just does his work at the table. We also, again,
Right.
like going back to, we kind of know his level and know where to start and how hard to push and when to pull back. So we're not pushing him past. I'm not saying we're going to go through 30 questions. I know that that would put him past the point
Yeah.
of no return. But just setting those expectations, following through with the expectation, and expecting good work from him. So another, go ahead.
We had a consultant who would say, you're doing whatever you're going to be doing. You're at the table, you're doing some work, and you say, stop 10 seconds before he's going to not be happy with you anymore or not comply,
Yeah.
not be compliant. And I would say, how do I know 10 seconds before
Yeah.
he's going to not be compliant? So it was just kind of a funny joke because it was like, you do have to kind of know what your child's limits are.
Right.
That it's like, sometimes you don't know 10 seconds before if, it was just kind of a funny thing. I guess
Yeah.
she didn't think it was funny.
No, it's a
That's
good
okay
one.
if you
It's a
don't think it's
good
funny.
one.
I think it's funny, but you don't have to think it's funny.
It's hard to anticipate sometimes, but
Yeah.
that's
you can't
why
anticipate
probing
every
and
time.
maybe watching and understanding what the limits are is good.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know getting out in the community for a lot of individuals with autism can be limiting in time restraints as well. We used to have a program with Alec where we would go shopping to Target. We typically go to the same Target. My favorite part is back in the day, you could stop and get popcorn at the food court.
Yeah. What happened to that?
Come on, Target. Get with
There's
the
always a little bit
program.
of popcorn in every aisle, just on the ground.
It was like the Hansel and Gretel, you could you
Yeah.
could find us anywhere.
Yeah, and then
But-
you could get an icy or a fountain drink, and yum.
Yeah.
And they had a deal where you could get 2 for $1.99 back in the days,
Those were the good old days.
Those were the good old days.
But part of our purpose in this was to grow his time out, tolerance being in the community shopping. He would push the cart. He'd have to maneuver it appropriately. I try and, run ahead of him and turn into an aisle and see if he was paying attention to follow.
And not bash into the
not
back of you.
get my ankles. Oh, they're still recovering.
Let's do bumper cars.
And then we would always end up allowing him to choose an item and, still try and make a good time of it for him. And this
He loves to
over
impulse
time,
shop.
has allowed him to be the easiest guy to take out to run errands. He could care less if we're getting out of the car, if it's for him or if it's for me to run an errand or if it's for mom to run an errand. He's just along for the ride. But that came with a lot of practice.
That was so not the case.
Right.
So much practice.
He used to throw
So
fits
much just starting. We're
pulling
gonna
out of
pull
the
out
driveway.
of the garage.
Yeah.
Pull back in. Oh, good. You did a great job. And then just building on that was so tough.
So just setting those expectations is being proactive to allow their minds to be aligned with what we expect of them.
Right. And then we also have just being ready with reinforcers if you're at that stage of your programming where you need to have a reinforcer handy. We almost always have a bag of beads in Alec's backpack.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's easy to take the beads away if he's getting a little bit loud or, he's at a doctor's office and he's getting a little bit elevated and he has his beads. I can take his beads away and say, oh, not why you've got that loud voice. And the second he calms down and he shows me that he's going to be calm, we give him the beads back or whatever. Having books, having presence activities. We've talked about those before where they're just closed-ended small tasks that he can do independently. They really help refocus him.
Mm-hmm.
And we just use those a whole lot. We always have little mini presence activities in his backpack, and we're ready to go with those when we need them. So that is all just snacks. The other day we went to a rocket launch of all things, and we get out there and it's in the middle of the desert in northern Utah, and we were so thirsty, and he had lukewarm water in his bag or something. No. And I'm like, luckily a person there that worked there, that's his buddy, had a cooler full of drinks.
Oh, how
and
nice.
He went and popped open a fully leaded Coke and drank the whole thing right there. But I wish we had, we didn't really know. We'd never been to a rocket launch before.
Yeah, that's a new one.
Yeah, we didn't know how to prepare for that. So we had the backpack, but we weren't completely ready. But we had the sunscreen and all that stuff. So that was
luckily his buddy was. That's awesome.
So what about traveling, Angie?
We have a plethora of ways that we are proactive with traveling. Alec has practiced travel and does travel to and from Utah often. So first and foremost, we like to keep reinforcers kind of in our back pocket the day of travel. He never gets up and travels super early. That's tricky to do. But the morning of
proactive measure, Angie.
Yes.
Proactively, we do not travel.
We do not travel early. We know that would be problematic.
Or late at night.
Yeah. So we like to keep his iPad loaded with maybe new episodes of his favorite shows, away from him, though. We're not going to give that to him the morning while we're trying to pack up and go. We're going to keep him occupied with some other things and engaged so that he can fully relax and enjoy his iPad. It is not sick of it.
Right.
We stop and get impulse shop at the airport with some exciting snacks. We have him not drink a ton before we get on an airplane. We bring his own cup with a lid and a straw so that he's not having to deal with an open cup or accidentally knock or spill that. And then we always have activities and reinforcers and, again, a bag of beads. So all of his favorite things. So,
And we try to sit as close to a bathroom as we can.
yes, proximity.
And then he can just automatically stand up because he's nonverbal. And one of his other deficits is telling us he has to go to the bathroom. Doesn't always do that. So we have to do all the clues that he gives us to be able to know when to take him.
Yep.
We did have an incident where we took him to the bathroom. Well, not we. It was me. I took him to the bathroom on a flight.
Thanks for keeping me out of this one. Thanks for taking ownership here.
Yeah, I knew that you would never do this. You're much too refined. But I'm telling you, I'm a desperate parent sometimes. So we get in there.
Aren't we all?
And we had had kind of a rough flight. And he drops his only set of beads. Like, how bad am I at proactive measures? I didn't have my extra set of beads. I was searching everywhere. And finally, guess what? I had to just put my hand down. That was before we had like gloves in the backpack.
That's so
I had
bad.
to put my hand down in there and I said, I'm sorry. I'm a mother of an autistic child. There's nothing I won't do to have those beads on this flight. And I just washed my hands really, really, very thoroughly afterwards.
I'm sure.
And the beads.
Yes,
And the beads.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
But we did have the beads the rest of the flight and everything was fine. But it was a sacrifice. I hope I never have to make it again.
It's all of your life experience and Alec's 27 years that has given us these examples of proactive measures. Because how many of these did we not have in place at one time or another? And then we go, whoa, we're going to do this better and never be without. We're never going to be without beads again. We're never going to be without the backpack.
Yeah.
We know we're going to set expectations and we're going to set up his house with things in predictable locations. So all of these things have come from probably blips or failures on our part.
Your hand in the toilet.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you learn and live.
Seriously, it just is a lot of pre-thought.
Yeah.
It's just thinking always one step ahead. It reminds me of playing chess, which I'm terrible at.
Oh, forget it.
Just thinking like 2 steps ahead of like, how can I be 2 steps ahead of this child and what the child's needs are going to be so that we can have a successful day.
Yeah. It really does make things run smoother.
Can you tell us about dimension grids since you're better at explaining that than I am?
Yeah, this is a great way of thinking. Steve Ward from Whole Child Consulting taught us about dimensions grids, and he references this, I believe, in his
Good
book.
Learner Repertoires?
Yes, Good Learner Repertoires. But I'm going to try and simplify it just for explanation's sakes. But basically, when you are looking to teach or when your learner has something difficult that they are trying to grow into, you can break down challenges in an easier column or a harder column. And so examples of that would be, I'm going to talk about Alec using his communication device and bringing it to us, being, what's the word? Spontaneous. I'm going to talk about Alec being spontaneous with his communication device. So my location to the device would change his response. Am I closer to the board or am I farther away? So those two things would go on an easier or a harder. Is there some sort of reinforcer involved, or is he required to do work? Those are kind of opposites on easier and harder. Are we sitting down or are we standing? Because that makes expectations and things a little bit different. So is it a new person that's communicating with him, or is it myself, a seasoned person who has been doing this a lot of
Right.
years? That's going to make a difference. So just looking at a scenario and saying, which of these things are going to be easier? Which of these things are going to be harder? How can I support some easy things, but also throw in some challenges? And as we get better at these harder things, I can start to kind of thin the schedule of reinforcers to build his skill or his tolerance. He can build his distance. He's going to do it with more listeners. He's going to do it standing up, sitting down, at the house, in the community, and all of those things expand, and he learns and grows. But I love just using this way of thinking in all scenarios for Alec. What is challenging
Right.
in any given situation, and what is easier? How can I support those challenges and not just remove all hard things? We don't want to just create a world and an environment in which there's no challenges, but
Right.
can we set up and be proactive in our thinking to anticipate the challenges and to help them through these challenges and help them grow a little bit each time we face them?
Right.
So
One example I thought of that we have had a few little struggles with new team members that are coming in and learning how to do his letterboard with him, which he communicates with, is there's a hierarchy attached to this letterboard and how we've taught it for, is it decades now?
yeah, it
Oh.
is. That's so crazy.
Ah. Oh no. Okay. So let's not think about that. But people will come on and they'll say, "Oh, I was asking him all kinds of questions today." And we say, "Why? You were only on the first level with him. You were supposed to spell cat and dog.
Yeah.
Isn't that the first level? Or is it even letters? Just get him to point to letters that you're asking him to point to. I don't know.
Right.
Is that the first
Letter
hierarchy?
dictation
It's been
is
so
the
long.
first. Yeah.
Okay.
He's
Letter
kind of
dictation, that's
moved
first thing.
past that. So, but
Yeah,
yeah,
he's way
simple
past that.
words.
He doesn't really start there anymore, but that was where he started for all, whatever, for our explanation. But we say, well, so he's not tapping very well for you? No, I don't know what it could be. Okay, well, are you doing the hierarchy? Where are you in the hierarchy? Oh, well, I'm asking him open-ended questions. Well, you just started 3 days ago. Why are you doing that?
Yeah.
You
You can't
you're not
expect
ready
him.
for that.
Yeah. You can't expect him to be giving
That
you.
is not proactively
Mm-mm.
setting him up for success. We have to say, we have a procedure. We do the procedure. And when we do that, it sets him up for success. And it is one of those predictable things that's safe for him, that he knows what his response needs to be.
Yeah. Building a relationship with a new person, pairing is
Exactly.
a big thing that we do with when new people come in. We're not having a new person come in and bust his chops at the table asking him
Yeah.
a
Hit
bunch
him
of
with
things.
the
Yeah. They're out
highest
jumping on the
number on the.
trampoline. They're going out to lunch. They're
Yeah.
talking about, their date last
Yeah.
night and trying to relate and build a
Yeah.
rapport and
Build
a
a
relationship.
relationship.
So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely. That's proactive. So,
That's proactive.
we definitely are not trying to lower the bar to make life easier or to make difficult tasks achievable, and we are not going to arrange the world to suit Alec. And
Yeah, we're not
we
scared
recommend
of
that you
anything.
don't do that for your child as well. But we are going to be mindful. We are going to be thoughtful. Those are buzzwords. We're going to think through how we are presenting tasks so that there is an opportunity for success. And if that
Right.
route to success is given, then hopefully the route to frustration is not the one that your child goes down. So think through
Exactly.
any of these. I mean, I know we could come up with a ton more examples, and I'm sure that you are already putting some of these into place, but just think through your day and how you can set it up for success, not only for your child, but for yourself. It just makes everything go a little bit smoother.
Exactly. And you will be shocked at how much you can get going.
Yeah.
The learning that can take place. If you
Absolutely.
just set it up right.
Well, thanks for joining us today on our episode of Piece by Piece. If you're loving these conversations as much as we are, hit that follow button, share the show, and help us spread the word, because every piece of the story matters. If you've got a story, question, or idea, slide into our DMs or shoot us a message. We would love to hear from you. You can find us on Instagram and Facebook at Piece by Piece Autism Podcast. That's PIECE, Piece by Piece Autism Podcast. See you later. Bye.
Bye.